You spent about 12 years in school, thousands of hours, and most of it stuck. You can still do algebra. You can sketch the water cycle. You know the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. You'll know that on your deathbed. But the one subject that decides whether you spend your life comfortable or stressed, whether you retire at 50 or work until you can't, was never on your timetable. That wasn't an accident. And by the end of this video, you'll know the one sentence that explains how money actually works. The sentence that should have been written on that board, and most people go their whole lives without hearing it. Fair warning, this isn't a hack video. Nothing here makes you rich by Friday. What it does is fix the foundation, the thing every money decision you'll ever make sits on top of. That takes about 13 minutes and your full attention. Still here? Good. Take your seat. So how big is that empty slot really? Maybe your school was just the unlucky one. Only 26 states in this country require a personal finance course to graduate high school. The other 24? Nothing. 0 hours for 13 years. And you know it's not like they ran out of room. There was time for the War of 1812. There was time for the powerhouse of the cell. There was a slot for everything, except the thing you'd use every single day for the rest of your life. Now, you did get some advice. Everybody gets the advice. Get a job, spend less than you earn, save, invest for the future, and none of it is wrong. It's just, incomplete. It's eat healthy and exercise, without ever explaining what food does inside your body. Technically correct, but completely useless. Which leaves one question, the uncomfortable one. If this subject matters so much, why did nobody put it on the board? Hold that thought. Because the answer isn't laziness. Here's the answer. And I'll say it straight, your confusion is worth money. Think about it. There are entire industries whose business model is translating money back to you for a fee. Advisors, fine print, products deliberately named so you won't ask twice. The less you understand, the more you need them. And I swear to God, that's not a conspiracy. Nobody's in a bunker hiding the curriculum. It's quieter than that. Information drifts toward the people who already have the time, the money, and the connections to reach it. Everyone else gets the fine print. Products deliberately named so you won't ask twice. The less you understand, the more you need them. And you already paid the bill for that gap. $12.1 billion in overdraft and NSF fees in a single year. Not for borrowing money, but for not knowing one rule about their own account. The confusion isn't a bug. For a lot of people, it's the product. So if the system won't explain itself, fine, we'll do it ourselves. And we start with the question that sounds too stupid to ask, the one that unlocks that sentence from the beginning. Let's try it out with this scenario. 3 things on a table: a $100 bill, a banana, and a bottle of water. So which one has real value? Not which would you grab, which one is actually worth something all by itself? You can eat the banana, the water keeps you alive. But the 100? It's cotton and ink. You can't eat it, you can't drink it, Imagine being stranded on an island with all three. You will realize that money is the only worthless one. So why can that piece of cotton buy the other two? Because of one invisible thing. And it's not printed anywhere on the bill. Now, someone's already typing it. It's backed by gold, that's why. Or by the government. That's what most of us were told. Here's the thing. America walked away from the gold standard in 1971. For over 50 years, there has been nothing in a vault behind that bill. No gold, no hard asset, nothing. So watch what's actually holding it up. Picture a small table with 4 people, and in the middle, one $20 bill. You slide it over for a coffee. They slide it on for a sandwich, then a haircut, then a ride home. One bill, 4 trades. Everybody at that table got something they actually wanted, all from a piece of cotton. So, why did it work? Because every person believed the next person would take it. That's it. That's the entire engine. Now break it. Person 4 tries to spin the bill, and person 1 just looks at it and says, "Nope, I don't want that." Nothing about the bill changed. Same paper, same ink, same number in the corner. But the moment one person stopped believing, the person holding it is holding cotton. And that's the sentence, the one that was never on your board. Money isn't a thing, it's an agreement. $1 is only worth something because millions of people agree it is. Cashiers, banks, your boss, a stranger 3 states away, all agreeing all at once to keep the table going. That's not a flaw, that's the design. And when enough seats stop believing, it doesn't matter how much paper you print. 2008, Zimbabwe. They printed a single note worth $100 trillion. One note, 14 zeros, and it bought just a loaf of bread, barely. Weeks later, not even that. And here's the part that makes the rule feel less like a theory and more like a law. Because we've run this experiment before. For 5,000 years, we just kept changing the props. Mesopotamia ran on barley. The Pacific Islands used shells. Rome, for a while, paid its soldiers in salt. It's where the word salary comes from. None of those things were money because of what they were. They were money because everyone at that table agreed they were. And then gold. And here's the trap most explanations fall into. They say gold was different, real value. But you can't eat gold either. It's shiny, it's rare, but it's useless on the island. Gold wasn't the exception to the rule. Gold was just the longest-running agreement in history. And now to the exciting part. Paper was just an agreement about gold. Then we dropped the gold and kept the paper. 1971, you were there. And today, 92% of the world's money isn't even paper. It's numbers on servers. You've probably never seen most of the money you've ever earned. It went from your employer's computer, to your bank's computer, to your landlord's computer. And so, the agreement doesn't even need the cotton anymore. Barley, shells, salt, gold, cotton, light. The prop keeps changing. The sentence never has. Money isn't a thing, it's an agreement. Which brings back something from that list at the start. Remember? Why prices rise? Never taught. And now you can actually understand it. Because prices rising is mostly the agreement being stretched. Think of every dollar as one vote at the table. Now print more votes. And nobody's vote gets taken away. Each one just counts for a little less. That is inflation. Not a monster, not a mystery, but dilution. It's why the coffee that cost $1 in 1980 costs $5 or $6 now. The coffee didn't get better, but the dollar slice of the agreement got thinner. A few percent a year. Quiet enough that nobody calls a meeting about it. Where the melted value goes, who it quietly benefits, and what actually holds its shape, that's its own class. It's on the syllabus, I promise. And that's the quietest lesson the missing class never taught. Money you just hold is a melting ice cube. Slowly, politely, by design. Which is why just save it under the mattress was never the whole answer, and why the advice card from earlier was incomplete. Now, take the rule and look at the scariest thing in finance. The stock market. All that chaos, the tickers, the shouting, the red and green. Look again. A stock's price isn't what a company is worth today. It's what enough people agree it'll be worth tomorrow. It's the table again, just arguing about the future instead of a coffee. Markets don't run on math. They run on belief. Which raises a question that deserves its own class. If the market is a table full of people agreeing about the future, who sets the price? Who decides your share of a company is worth this much and not that much? That's next week. And I promise it's not who you think. Before you go, one last thing. The real reason this channel exists is because there's a quiet kind of embarrassment that comes with not understanding money. The feeling that everyone else got a memo you somehow missed. That somewhere there was a class and you were absent the day they taught it. So let me say this as clearly as I can. There was no class. No secret meeting. No memo. No lesson everyone else got invited to. You weren't behind. There was nothing to be behind on. And now you know the one sentence they never wrote on the board. Money isn't a thing. It's an agreement. That's not the end of the class. That's your seat in it. And that's the deal this channel is making with you. One topic per video, plain English, no jargon for the sake of sounding smart, no pretending it's harder than it is. When I get something wrong, and someday I will, I'll say so and fix it. I'm not a guru, and I'm not selling a course. I'm just a wannabe YouTuber having fun with my dog, and you're getting the notes. So if this is the class you wish you'd had, subscribe. Consider it enrolling, because next week, we find out who actually sets the price of a stock. Not the textbook answer, the real one. And it's not who you think. And one more thing before you go. Tell me in the comments, banana, water, or the 100? What did you pick before the reveal? Be honest, I read everything. This is Wall Street Cooper. Class is finally in session.